Some of that's new. Battle scars. Hammer. Window. Crowbar. Window. This thing is completely jacking up the program here at Sasquatch Dispatch. All right, I got updates on this car. I hit on this, I think, in one video. There hasn't been much about it. But this is a 1987 Chevy Monte Carlo SS. It is an SS, I wasn't sure. It's got the badges inside. But I got this car for really super cheap. There's no engine or transmission. Me and my buddy are gonna make a drag race car out of it. It's been sitting here all winter, kind of just chilling. Moving forward on the drag car project, which is just gonna be one little step right now. We got this truck pretty much given to us. It's really bad shape. It's really bent bad. It's just rusty, rotten. There's no frame left on it. This is a 2000 Chevy. It's a Z71. It's really bad rusty for a 2000. It's horrible. I mean, it's 22 years old, but holy crow. This is the important part. We're gonna take this 5.3 and put it in that Monte Carlo out there. So what I'm gonna do is start tearing this truck down, take the hood off. There's a plow frame under here that needs to come off. And the guy we got this truck from wants the seat in the plow. I'm gonna take all the wiring, the computer, and the engine. My neighbor across the street offered me big block Chevy. I have an old motorhome. It's gotta be early 80s, late 70s, I'm guessing. That thing is two-wheel drive, so I'm kind of hoping that has a 4L80, you know, a mechanical one, or at least a 400 transmission in it. And that's what we'll put behind this engine. So pretty much barring anything other than some early Allison transmission that might be in that motorhome, we got our transmission for the drag car also. So that's really cool. Oh boy, well, I've been working on this thing all day, tearing it apart. I got everything disconnected from the fenders, tore the fenders off. So first I got all the plow wiring out of it. That was easy. I took the seats out. Okay, I got everything ripped apart. We'll see what happens. was a battle royale, let me tell you what. Okay, there was a few things I didn't know about that made this kind of a pain in the ass. Keep in mind that that truck frame was bent real bad, so I didn't have no room to get under the truck, and minimal room once I jacked the side of the truck up. But I got it out, and it still was a battle. It came separate. The transmission came apart from the engine. Then I was fighting like the sensor and the intake was hitting the underside of the cowl on the cab, and then the oil pan might have played, the frame might have played but a part in it, but the oil pan wouldn't clear the front differential. So inevitably what I did was just kept jacking it. I was planning on smashing this intake because I think I'm going to change that anyways. I'm going to put a performance intake on it. This has too many ports and sensors and bullshit in it. So we'll get a simplified version of that. And, well, it didn't break. It didn't even break the sensor, but I got that son of a bitch out. The main reason, we needed that engine out of there, but I needed it out of there right now because that truck was clogging up the last usable bay I have in my garage right now. I'm getting ready to rearrange everything in here for the summer. A lot of this stuff is going to go outside. Some of it's going to go home because that's not mine. But I needed to be able to get the tractor in when I pull this engine, which is going to be very simple. So that other truck had to get the heck out of here. Okay, I'm going to move right into prepping this truck to get the engine out. It's got that 12 valve Cummins in it. I'm going to take the fenders off, drain the radiator first and take it out. There's the first good look at this engine. I think I've hit on it in a couple of other videos, but I never really opened the hood to get a look at it. So it's a non-intercooled VE rotary pump 12 valve Cummins turbo. So I'm not sure where I left you here, but I decided to go for a ride on my new motorcycle. It was so beautiful today, I couldn't avoid it. But I'm back at the shop now, draining the radiator on this truck. I went over everything to see what I had to do to get out. So there's just 2 bolts on each side of this custom radiator mount. 1 bolt holding the fender on there. 1 zip screw holding the back fender on there. And the only thing different over here is there's 2 zip screws holding it on this side. I think I'm going to help this radiator along by ripping the lower hose off and get after that, because it's, I don't know, it's like 6 o'clock at night, Sunday night. I'm gonna go to work tomorrow, so I can't be out here all night. Well, that didn't take long. There was a couple of brackets here I didn't realize were connected to the fender. But for being in there, I guess this entire life, hasn't done too bad. One thing I forgot to mention on these fenders, can't tell now, but I cut the actual fender off. You know, from here, there was an actual flat fender that came out quite a ways. But when I put these tires on, I wanted those tires to stick all the way out, so I just hacked the fenders off. I plan on making something to replace what I cut off. Once it's on the 06 Ram chassis and I have the tires and wheels that I want to use, I'm going to have to build something in accordance to how far the tires stick out. If worse comes to worse, I'll just buy some new fenders from Boyce Equipment or somewhere. Here is the engine. I do have some stuff done to this pump. If I remember correctly, this is called a VE pump, also known as a rotary pump. I have the timing bumped as far as it'll go. This pump is pushed all the way up against the engine right there, so it can't turn any farther, clock any farther. That gives you a little bit of something, but it's not as good as going inside here and actually doing the mechanical timing. I also have a hot rod fuel pin. I don't know the specs on it. It's been such a long time. But I also turned the pump up until it ran away and then backed it off just enough that it wasn't running away. So the pressure is up, a little bit of timing in there, plus the hot rod fuel pin, which I think is the same as a fuel plate, like in a P pump. These engines come with 160 horsepower, and I put it directly in this truck once I did all that stuff. So with the 672 to 1 gear ratio and these giant freaking tires, it'll spin these tires in the mud all day long. It don't care. It'll just turn them. It's great. But it has a super stiff suspension, so it actually got stuck quite a bit because it would just lose traction. It's not locked. There's no lockers in it. So the next step, I think I'm just going to disconnect the transmission right now because I don't have the means to. It has a transfer case on the back of it, so it's not going to fit out of there. And I don't have the right provisions to safely drop it out of the truck without, well, the transmission is junk. It has a crack in it. It still works and drives. I drove it like that, but it's got a crack where one of the transmission line fittings screws in and it pumps fluid out of there pretty bad. So I don't really care what happens to the transmission, but it's got a 205 Dodge transfer case on it, which I do not want to hurt that. Crack it or something if I drop it. Don't forget the cab is going on the Ram. This is going in the square body. I might have lost track of what I was doing here, but I'm going to get in there and take the bolts out of that transmission. Okay, I'm gonna put a sling under the transmission, under the front end of it, so it doesn't fall down and break the transfer case. I got my custom motor mount here. I basically took the cross member out of the pickup, left it bolted to the engine, and made a new spot for the cross member to bolt. I could not bolt the cross member to the actual frame because the engine was going to sit too far down, or it didn't fit. I don't think it fit, yeah, because the harmonic balancer was going to hit this mounting plate. I could have took that off, but there's other reasons. The steering box, so it kind of had to sit right there, which is where the other ones sit anyways. It's too high to use the cherry picker, but one of the wheels broke off my cherry picker anyways when I was pulling the engine out of that old rusty Chevy. So let me get that sling under the transmission, and I'll disassemble that cross member for the engine, and I'll get the tractor and I'll start yanking this puppy out of here. This side got hooked on the power, well, it's not power steering, but it got hooked on the steering box right there. Got wedged in right there between this mount and what was left of the steering shaft. Hope you were able to see what happened there. This thing was inside the old steering box, and it got wedged like that. That cross member got wedged between this and here. You can see the transmission is separated. Well, there it is. 1989 12 valve Cummins. That wasn't too big of a fight. It was a little bit of a fight, but it went way better than that Chevy engine did. I forgot the transmission lines were still hooked up. The throttle cable I had to take off once I got this stupid thing unjammed. And here is the home formerly known. I gotta take the hood off without damaging it. And then I'm gonna drag this whole truck back out in the yard till I'm ready to move on that project. Once this is out of here, I'm gonna take this, that's the front end, I'm gonna spin it around like this one and put these engine mounts on the Cummins and they'll bolt right into the Chevy mounts on the truck side. That's gonna do it for this episode. Like I said, we'll get the Cummins engine setting in there for the next video. I got a 6-inch suspension lift ordered for this. It's all leaf springs, front and rear. So when that comes in, we gotta take the differentials off the suspension to get the suspension out. So after I get the new lift kit in, I'm gonna sandblast the differentials, tear them apart, get them ready for rebuild. That'll be the next episode, hopefully. There it is. Still got plans for this old truck. Its life ain't over yet. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.